Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's McCreepers, and welcome back to another video. And earlier today, Sid ended up getting a buff, and if you didn't see what it is already, you can see real quickly, read on screen. But pretty much, essentially, they changed how his nuke works. Before, every single time his nuke, how it worked is that every single time you switch, it would add another 50% of his damage to the nuke. So if you switch 4 times, you would have a 200% nuke. Now, what happens is every single time you switch, it will increase by a total of that 50% by 25%. So with no switching, that nuke will do 50% of his damage. Once you switch once, that nuke will do 75% of his damage times the amount of switches he done so far too. So I'll fucking show you the goddamn graph. But as you can see, so pretty much once you switch twice, you're gonna have a 75% times 2, which gives you 150%. And then 3 times, that'll now turn to 100% times 3, so 300%, and so on and so forth. And as you can see here, I did a math all the way down to 500 switches. I could have done more, but I think 500, it might be even pushing it even for infinites. But as you can see here on the left, we have non-monarch, and I got this number from my Sid, who does around 57k damage with his second passive fully built up. So I rounded it down to this 55 just for the sake of things. And then, so yeah, you can see here in the graph, I did it based off of that. And then you can see this is like the total percent of the nuke. And once you get to X amount of switches, and then this is a total damage here. And then I did the same thing with Monarch. I did it based off of 230k damage because I talked to a few people who had Monarch, and I kind of just averaged it out to 230,000. And then once again, you can see how much damage it ends up getting. But long story short, you can see you get some high nukes. And the kind of nice thing too is like, because it takes a while to actually fully get up to that 600%. But by the time it takes a total 23 switches to actually reach that 600% per switch. But by the time you do that, you're already looking at a 7 million nuke without Monarch and a 32 million nuke with Monarch. And on paper, this seems like a long time, and it is. But the thing is, when we look at Sid, Lord Shadow, and John Smith here, so if we run, typically it takes a total of 8 attacks to swap, which for John Smith, they'll be around 35 seconds, I believe. However, if you're running a 100% Black Spirit, it's only going to take 4 attacks, which also, so in order to do one switch with John Smith, it takes 18 seconds. And then with Sid, it's going to take a little over 28 seconds if you don't have some sort of familiar on him. So 28 seconds. So for him, one switch is 28 seconds. For John Smith, it's only 18. So it takes about under a minute to get essentially 2 switches in, which isn't that bad. If you do the math for that, so 2 minutes or 1 minute for 2 switches, here I'll just pull up. So yeah, like I said, 1 minute for 2 switches. Let's say we want 500 switches, and we know that it's going to take essentially 250 minutes, which probably stretching infinite. That's infinite. We're looking at probably like 2 hours realistically. So if we know it takes around 1 minute to get 2 switches in, we can do 120. That's 2 hours times 2, because that's the amount of switches you would be able to get in realistically. You're looking at 240, which even still, you're looking at an 83 million nuke or around 315 million nuke with Monarch. So yeah, if you guys want the link to this, it'll be in the description. But yeah, that's all I had to say. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.